Tolulope, popularly known as Tolucoms, is the founder and principal consultant at Mushroom Communications, a boutique public relations consultancy in Lagos. She's an impact articulator, a board advisor, and an adroit B2B public relations and strategic communications consultant for global brands and executives. She's also the founder and chairperson of Nigerian Women in Public Relations, a social impact professional organization set up to advocate for and provide growth resources to female PR professionals of Nigerian descent across the world. Tolulope is a published author, a Wimboard alumni, a Wimbers associate, and a recipient of multiple awards, including Top PR Communications Professionals in Nigeria, second finalist Entrepreneur Consultant category, Positive Role Model in West Africa, Top 100 PR Influencers, Most Powerful Young Professionals in Corporate Nigeria, Emerging Female Public Relations Professional, and 100 Most Influential Young Nigerians of 2020. Ladies and gentlemen, online and offline, do we have an important personality in our midst? Please welcome Tolulope Olorundero.
Thank you so much. I feel like that wasn't me. So sometimes when you write your profile, it feels like it's more than what you are. This is everything about.
Which is just ready. Thank you so much. My apologies, please, for coming in late. But we'll just try to get right to it. Hi, if you're watching online on Zoom, thank you for joining this session. It's going to be very straightforward, very practical. I like to tell stories. Thankfully, I also run an SME business, so I can very much relate to some of the challenges that you may have. I can tell you a bit of my own story and how we've gotten to where we are today. We're still looking forward to being as big as 83. But where we are, I think we're doing fairly well enough. And I'm sure that we're going to get bigger. As we dream bigger, we will get bigger. Do we have this up? Okay, it's coming up. I mean, the first slide is really about telling you a story. Forgive me, I can't remember my topic. I'm going to start with a story.
Yes, you have a voice, whether you
yes,
speak
or not.
or not.
Thank you so much. Okay, just in the event that my colleague is watching, her name is Vara. She's welcome to prepare my slides. Vara, you're a fantastic lady. Thank you so much. So how did I get to where I am? How did Tolucom start? How did Mushroom Communications, which is an SME public relations consulting firm, very, very distinct description, right? Because in Nigeria, one of the things I found when I decided I was going to start a business was that there were several agencies in Nigeria and we didn't want to be an agency. So very quickly we determined that we were going to model our structure along the lines of the KPMGs of the world, PwCs of the top four, right? And so we decided that, in description and in the way that we model our service delivery, we're going to be a consulting firm. But what were the things that got me thinking along that line? I'm relatively young. I'm realizing that I'm getting older by the day, even though I've refused to expand in height and size. I say that I'm vertically challenged. If you stood beside me, you're likely going to be taller than me. So despite that, you agree, Abby? Okay, because I was like, you're supposed to agree. Anyway, so how did I get to all of that point? The first thing for me is that I found public relations very early in life. Thank you. I found public relations very early. I started writing my professional exams for the institute, probably in 200 level. I've tried over the years to remember my first contact or the first place where I got information about public relations. I can't remember. But I know that as an 100 level, second semester, beginning of 200 level, by myself, I attended Olorundero okay? I'm very much homegrown. And I know that by second semester 200 level, 100 level, and by myself decided my Mondays were going to be corporate Mondays. Now, if you understand the layout, I don't know, if you attended any state university in Nigeria, I didn't even attend the but if you attended any state university in Nigeria, you know that things are very lax. I studied English. My lecturer sometimes would speak Yoruba in class to teach English language. Right? So it was very large to come to school anyhow or whatever. But for some reason, I decided that Mondays were going to be my covering days. And I had just one jacket till probably I graduated from school. And every Monday was standard. You would find Tolulope. And I mean, on those Mondays, I dressed better than most of my lecturers. At a point, and when I say better, this is just one jacket. My mom did not send me to do covering Monday. And at that time, I had not started any business, so I couldn't fund it anymore. But then I just thought that I knew that I wanted to work in corporate Nigeria. And so I just felt that it would be nice to just look, you know, when you wear that jacket, there's just this confidence that comes on you and you believe that you can do more than you are. And so that started very early for me, and that's how I started. By the time I finished 400 level, I finished my NIPR exams, and then I think I did the induction when I was 7 in Niger State. And so I guess that it's because I started very early. I was very clear, crystal clear, that me and Pierre were together for life. It's probably why I was able to find my footing very early. So if you're here, you're an SME person, even if you've not started a business, maybe you're at university, and perhaps you're still wondering, or maybe you're even in secondary school, who knows? Since this is going to be online, people, generations yet unborn are likely going to be listening to this video at some point in the future. If you're a very young person, one of the great things that you can do for yourself is to discover what you really want to do early. Of course, if you don't, there's multiple opportunities for you to get to that point later in life. But the earlier you get to that point, the better for you, because you are going to move quite fast. And so by the time I finished, obviously, I still wanted to work in corporate Nigeria, and I tried to get a job. I started Mosron Communications, by the way, in 200 level. At that time, it was Mosron International. The name remained the same because the idea is, I mean, if you're Christian, Moses and Aaron, just think about it. But I started it in 200 level. I was studying English. I was editing manuscripts, assignments for my classmates in school, in class. I was also part of the public relations unit in church. And so, of course, I tested my hand writing copies, flyers, church, get people to come out and do rallies and all of that. Because, I mean, that's the exposure we had to peer. So very early, I had already been exposed to some of these things. And thankfully, because I've been editing while as an undergraduate, when I was going to finish school and put my CV together, my years of experience started from 200 level. So if I'm here, you know, sometimes I put online that I have some 16 plus years experience, and then I tell some people my age, and they're like, is it from them that you have the experience? Didn't you go to school and you want to interrogate it? No, there's nothing to interrogate. I'm very open to tell you, I started editing professionally and people were paying me in 2006. I'm not going to cancel that because I was still, nobody taught me editing, by the way. I just love to read novels. And I don't love to I don't know the series, but you know those novels. I'm not talking about the series. Those novels, I read them. It was me and them back to back. I had the final papers, I was reading novels. It was just me and novels. And that was my exposure to good writing. And you see, so sometimes, some of the things that we are told to stay away from, if you're very deliberate, of course, you can get distracted, but if you're very deliberate, there may be some things and some lessons that you can pick from it. For me, I picked what good writing should be. And I was able to start editing with it. And I was earning good money from it. Right? And then when I finished, obviously, I wanted to get a proper job. I did that for a while. And then I kept Mosron as a side hustle all through my working experience. My plan for Mosron was simple. I was going to retire at 40. Mosron was my retirement plan. Okay? I didn't want to work for anybody after 40 because in my head, I would have had a good network because again, all the experience I'd seen online, anybody that owned an agency had already worked before, they had all this network, they knew people. And so likely, again, in my head, I thought, you need to know people for you to start a business, right? Obviously, by myself, through my experience, I proved that wrong. So if you're here again and you're thinking, how should I start my business? Am I sure this business is going to go? Who knows my father from anywhere? I chose, again, not to talk about how I grew up this year because, again, we've sensationalized poverty narrative in Africa. I mean, I can tell you all the gory stories. They're not very gory, actually, compared to others. But then it just celebrates poverty too much. So I'm just going to tell you how I started. which is really what I've done. I just discovered myself early. I saw that I love to read novels, and I turned it into money. Right? So if you're thinking, oh, you need to know people, if you're an Instagram business owner, for example, I need to know the big influencers. If Nigeria Brown Chicks post my business, I'm going to blow. Wait. I also thought when I started that I needed to have all this network. I needed to have a Rolodex of business cards that will flow. And if I finish, when I had 40, when I'm starting out, I'll just call them to say, oh, I've started my business now. Start sending us briefs. Well, I mean, that was my plan. I'm a very good planner. Very, very good planner. But life happened. Right? I mean, for example, okay, there are some women, I wanted to get married at a specific age. I wanted to finish having my children at a very specific age. I wanted my house to be a very specific way. I knew where the dictionary, very big ones, were going to be in my house. I had everything planned. But I mean, life happens. Right? Yeah, I mean, life happens. So you also, I'm already teaching the way we'll get to the voice part. But you also need to be flexible as a business owner. You know, some people, they have this plan, and if anything happens to that plan, it's like they are lost. They can't get their legs again. Wait, calm down. The plan is good so that, I mean, you remember that these are the things I want to do. But you need to face reality and deal with that reality. Otherwise, I don't need to be lost in dreamland. And I mean, dreamers are great, but doers are better. Yeah? Great to dream, but make sure that you do it. Yeah? So anyway, I had this, like I said, I was going to retire at 40, but that didn't happen. I got stuck at middle management in my work, and that's something that's common to very many PR people. You just can't seem to scale a height after a while. And so I resigned on my last job and wanted to get something a bit more senior. I was getting offers, but I was at middle level management. And I obviously wasn't going to do that. At that time too, I also wanted something closer to my house. All of that didn't happen. And then I remember that wait, see this retirement plan. It's just that it didn't just keep me busy, you know. At least there was something to keep me busy. And so I started to use WhatsApp status. Who uses their WhatsApp status here? And it's not that you're posting pen pictures. No. They're not just swiping up to laugh. No. You're really using your WhatsApp status for business. Anyway, so now I have these 4 friends that we graduated school together. They know my business, right? They know what I do. And so when I resigned, and then I just sat down and said, okay, how about if I package something, no formal schooling, no experience in any agency business at all. And so I thought if I just put this thing together, okay, if we sell it for 3 months, you pay this bulk money, and then let's see. And so I was just posting it on my status. And then one of these, my 4 friends, I mean, we studied together. She knows what I do. She saw it and was like, Tolu, you can do this. Come to my, let me introduce you to my chairman. She works with one of the biggest schools in Ogun State. I said, oh yeah, let me meet chairman because I resigned without a backup. I mean, it's great to be very optimistic, but if you don't have any cushion, you don't have any bed to fall on, if you have to fall down, when you may have to fall down as an SME business owner, please ensure that you have a backup for your backup. Right? Otherwise, I mean, you don't want to go begging. Exactly. Right? Make sure you have a backup for your backup. There should be a business backup for that your business that is thriving now. I will tell you also, I can tell you now that I run an online retail diaper store. But you wouldn't see that connected to this person like me. That person is a mommy, she talks about, but there's no connection at all to this person. And I'm the one managing the page. That's a backup. The day I want to buy a recharge card and there's no money, I just sell one of my diapers and I'm good. There's quick change, okay? So make sure that you have a backup for that, your backup. Anyway, so, and so I did this package and then she introduced me to the chairman. Bottom line, I made 500,000 naira. Now my plan was you could even spread payment over 3 months. My first is a contract, or the offer was given to businesses at that time. Pay me 500,000, I'll do XYZ for you in 3 months. Because 500,000 then was cool. It was cool. I mean, it was more than what I was earning monthly. So if somebody was going to pay me 500,000 for 3 months, and I was going to be going to the office, I was going to be in my house. That was fair. And I mean, I even calculated it. I just made 5 clients. Just 5. Just 5 is okay. You know, 5 in those 3 months, I was cool. I would have been fantastic. But But the point was, I got this meeting, met the chairman, and I remember how I said that I won't give them a spread payment plan. This man paid me upfront before I started the job. And that's when I sat down to say this. If there is one person who can pay me this amount upfront without arguing, not haggling, he didn't negotiate, he paid me upfront. Then you get it. And that's how I said there's a business here. And that's how I sat down with it. I'm talking about the end of 2018, by the way. By the beginning of 20, now, let me also give you the other side of it. While I was working, I've been very, very active on LinkedIn. Now, if you're a service business owner here, as an SME, whatever type of business I mean, I call myself a LinkedIn evangelist. If I'm not on LinkedIn, I don't know what I'm doing with your life as a business owner. Can be balling in other areas. I mean, I don't know. And you know why I can say that? If you don't have an uncle somewhere, you don't have an auntie somewhere. I'm not sure. Well, so, I mean, outside God, honestly, I can tell you, and I say it anywhere. Oh, small girl, big girl. I can tell you, honestly, outside of God, that LinkedIn is my only dream. Honestly, I mean, I even wrote a love letter to LinkedIn. It's good to appreciate. I mean, if there was no LinkedIn, I don't know how God would have done it. I'm definitely that won't be standing here. I would have seen Tosin to send her a DM to say, oh, I like what you're doing. Can I volunteer XYZ in one place or the other? She definitely would not have known me. The Tolulope that you're seeing here today started from LinkedIn. Right? I started using LinkedIn in 2011, just at the end of my youth service. And I was just writing. They said, if you're a communications person, you should write. Oh yeah. Whatever I was learning, whatever I saw was interesting. At that time also, I was also offering editorial services. So I would send, and maybe I had like 500 connections. I will look at your designation on LinkedIn, and then I'll just send monthly greetings. I'm greeting you, how's the month going? And then at the end, I'll add a footnote. If you require editorial services, we can provide it to you. Until the time I stopped, I didn't get one client from that endeavor. But people knew my name. When I stopped it, I got people sending. They didn't respond though. But when I stopped, I got people sending me DMs to say, oh, I don't see your messages in the one. When I was spending time, because I mean, you can imagine, if you are somebody who is creative, you know that writing that thing, number one, writing it is not easy. Second, I'm seeing that I was sending this thing to people manually, monthly, 500 plus people. And then I now saw you, I say, oh, this city, oh, they remove me. Anyway. I mean, but that got me used to sending DMs to people. I mean, I got comfortable. I mean, sometimes you see people, maybe because I'm a big grown now. At the time when I started, if I saw Tosin, there's no way I would have reached out to her.
Why?
She's like this and like this. Not possible. I mean, the distance is too far. I don't know if it's again, I try to stay away from inferiority complex, imposter syndrome. I don't like to use those words. Sometimes it could just be a competence issue or you're just not ready for the opportunity. I don't like to use those descriptors for myself. But I would have just said that she's too far away. I'm not ready for the opportunity yet. Because if you engage people, you must be ready for the value they can offer. If you engage them before you are ready for that value, you've wasted an opportunity. Right? There are so many people in my industry today that I know that likely know me, but I've never engaged them before. Because if I engage you, I think that I'm going to waste that opportunity. So I'm holding on until when I'm ready to cash it. Right? Anyway, so that happened, and so I started the business. So I go back to this my 500,000. By January of 2019, I started to do PR for myself and my business. Right? What I did for myself then is what I now offer as executive brand service to C-suite executive. I mean, very niche. C-suite executive, you must have 15 plus years experience before I can work with you. There are not very many checks and whatever. But I started with myself first. With an article about my experience, pitched into some publications, some of them picked it, some of them didn't, it was okay. And then I sat down and said, if I did this on my stages, then there must be a business owner somewhere that would also require this service. And my service is not mass market. right? And so I sat down and started paying attention to people's destination. So first is I identified my target audience. Who requires my service and who can pay for it? See, there's a lesson I teach digital selling, using my diaper business as an example. If you have a child here or you've been around a child, you know that diaper is not cheap. If you are using the imported one, it's doubly not cheap. Now, a diaper carton is about 45,000 naira. Everybody uses diapers. If you have a child, you are likely using diapers, right? But it is not everybody that can afford 45,000 naira, right? And so, identifying and understanding who your target market is critical to your business success. And then speak the language that audience understands. And guess what? You may not be your target market. At the time when I started selling diapers, I couldn't afford it. The ones we used was a gift. It was that gift that I used as pictures to sell the actual ones I was going to start selling. Right? So you don't have, so sometimes when you're thinking, oh, would I like this? You know how sometimes they tell you, check it. If you wouldn't buy, then don't say, excuse me, you may not be able to afford what you're selling. So it's not a question of if you won't buy, you may not be able to buy it. You may not need it. Right? That you don't need it does not mean that another person does not need it. Right? Anyway, so I sat down, figured this out, and then I started sending DMs to people. Again, it didn't pick up quickly. But if I started in January, by February, I got one person, GCEO of a tech company, one of the oldest tech companies in Nigeria, who responded. He didn't say yes. All he said was this was interesting. Excuse me, I stay at your project. Okay. Yeah? So if I'm on LinkedIn and I'm sending a DM to somebody and I'm looking at this man and I'm like, is it a small? And I said something that this man started to say, this is interesting. By the way, that's how I started moving away from, because again, sometimes the environment can limit you. Right? And so I started moving away from the mentality of Amani and Akaja. Right? Because again, sometimes the environment can mess up your brain. You won't see beyond what's around you. Right? So you need to expose yourself to other things. And so this my bottom line, after like 4 months of LinkedIn back and forth, it wasn't available in the country. I did a board presentation. Of course, it was only me. Right? Did a board presentation, 4 empties, and I got the contract. My God. Yes. I don't need to look for a job again. If this one can work, there's something here. The first 500K in 3 months was just okay. Maybe it was connection, my friend. This one, I had no clue who this man was. Somebody from his company had engaged my post. Like if you know how to use LinkedIn, you need to go and study it, especially if you're a service business owner. You need to check your analytics. And so what I started to do was that I would look at the people who engaged my post. And look, because I'm not interested in you as a person. What's your company? Do they have money? Who are they? Excuse me, let's be factual. Money is important. If you cannot afford it, let's not waste time. Okay? Don't waste your time trying to engage somebody that cannot afford it. Pray for them, for God to bless them later. But for now, let's talk about business and shift it to one side. Right? So I looked at the business, found this company, I never heard of it before. Found the company, went to their website, found the name of their CEO, who was the group CEO, came back on LinkedIn, found the man. He doesn't post. I just sent that DM, whatever year you open it, you will meet my message. The man responded, and I got the contract. I said, okay, let's do this. And that's how it started, right? And so my SME growth story really is about paying attention to the facilities or the opportunities available to me. Remember what I said at the beginning? Mosron was my retirement plan. But in my head, I could not start that, I could not launch into that retirement phase until I had a Rolodex of contacts. I was sure that I needed people to know me. By the time I retired, I quit my job. Nobody knew my father. My father has been long dead. But nobody knew him from anywhere. Right? So there was no way that a Rolodex that didn't even exist could work. But if I sent you a message on LinkedIn, whether you like my face or not, you will see it. If what I said in that message had value, you will read it and reach out. And so that's what I paid attention to. So it doesn't matter who you are, whether you're big or small, fat, whatever. It doesn't matter. Is there value in the service you're offering? Then talk about it. Reach out to people. Okay, so let's move on. How do I know this thing? Yeah, so I mean that's the story, and it's just really an encouragement. Whatever platform, right, that your business, whatever platform you have identified that can amplify the message of your business, you need to sleep there. I work from home. LinkedIn is my office. If I'm there, it's not because if I'm there, it's not because this one is jobless. Excuse me, jobless. Office is like somebody arguing with you that in your office. Somebody come and meet you now just to say, why are you in your office today? They can't now. LinkedIn is my. If you don't understand, that's your business. I know what I'm looking for there. Let me tell you a quick story about Twitter. These platforms are very important because for very many SMEs, these are the social media platforms they are going to use to get this voice. And your voice will be heard if you're a business person, whether you are the one amplifying it or not. We'll get to that very quickly. I mean, you have the slides, I hope they'll get it.
Of course.
So I tried to run away from talking about, because stories are important. I'm sure you're going to remember this story in another year's time. More important than the points that my colleague has put together, which is very important, by the way. But these are more theoretical things than practical experience. Let me tell you about Twitter. When I had my first job, I mean, I'm a very active social media person. Pre-2019, I was a passive user. Me and Twitter. You will see me at 2 a.m. Where's your phone? Who uses Twitter? I mean, it's not passive user. I'm talking about. You won't understand. You won't understand what I'm saying. You won't understand what I'm Twitter. Before you say one, somebody has given you 20. You have laughed your destiny away on Twitter. 3 hours, you are still laughing. You are following one, you are laughing. The person that is making you laugh is making money. You see those influencers. Before I realized that people were paying them to tweet what was making me laugh. Oh my dear. I was laughing away bank, cash, money. And then I think it was maybe mid-2019. Mid-2019 apparently is a pivotal year. In June, I just sat down and said, wait up. LinkedIn, I started to look at the business case for the platforms and my usage. On Instagram. Wow. On Instagram, I sell diapers. And so if I spend time there, it's understandable. Right? I don't do anything on my personal page. I repeat what people post on LinkedIn. It's just so that it's kept busy and taking place on that platform. So if I was spending time on Instagram, minimal time, it was okay because I was making money. LinkedIn, if I'm there, there's money to be made. And so I asked myself, so what are you doing? How much have you made on Twitter? 2 a.m. I'm saying 2 a.m. I'm laughing. 3 a.m. I'm laughing. Then when it's 6 o'clock, because I did vigil and I was making money. So what I did first, I took that app off my phone for 1 month. Now because these things are addictive. I don't smoke, but I want to imagine that, you see, I experienced withdrawal symptoms. Because then I didn't know what to keep myself busy with, because before I did one, I'm taking my phone, it's me and LinkedIn, you don't just go there for going there, you are going there strategically, there's a plan. But Twitter, you can just go, just waste away your life. So I took a break, I didn't delete my account though. But I took it off my phone so that if I needed to go on it, I would need to power on my laptop. Go to that would have taken, it will take effort. But when I came back, and that's how God honors your decisions. And when you're very clear, crystal clear about what you want, you just find that things align for you. The first part for you is that mental clarity. I did this mindset, mind map. Thank you. This mind map training last year about wealth building and all of that. Mental picture is the first thing. You must see it inside your mind. See it very clear, details inside your mind, what you want. And then you just find out. Once you hit that mental clarity, you just find that things are aligning. It's just, you'll be wondering, how is this happening? But it will align. You know how it's aligning. You can see it. I went off Twitter. When I came back, the first thing that happened, this might say LinkedIn. So when it was at that time when people were insulting Nigerian employees, this, for we Nigerians, somebody insults us, even if we're insulting ourselves, somebody insults us like this, right? So this guy had come, he had insulted a worker on LinkedIn, and then I posted. You are paying the guy peanuts and you're expecting him not to act like a monkey. That's how he said, did not care for me. I don't pass my boundary. Excuse me. Oh, I wish. Excuse me, as a business owner who has a reputation to protect now and in the future, because your SME is not going to remain an SME. Don't leave a negative footprint online, or else you will come to either Tosi or myself, whatever you do, reputation management, right? Don't pass your. You see, especially too. Don't pass your boundaries. Stay where they say you mind your business. Laugh and go. If they drag you, I will feel sorry. And there are some people who will drag you. And you can't come and meet me to say, what should I do? You want him to join? No. Please, on Twitter, especially I say this to career professionals, and it's interesting. The biggest CEOs are falling victim to this. So you as a small business owner, they are small change. Wow, Webby. Oh my Jesus. We've seen people who they drag so much, their business is collapsed because of the dragging. They don't send you. Mind your business. So they took that screenshot and they came on Twitter. And now one of the things that worked for me, like I said, I started to do PR for myself. Now my profile picture is the same everywhere. I started to do that maybe 2018 or 2019. Same profile picture everywhere, same name everywhere. So if you see my face on Instagram, even if you don't remember the name, you will know that I've seen this picture before somewhere. It's the same thing. So, people who didn't know me as Tolulope, my full name, I use my full name on LinkedIn. On Twitter, my handle is Tolulope. And then they brought it to Twitter. Who is this person? It was a picture that they linked to my profile. And that's how they tell me. That's how my followers started to increase. That's comment. I think it got to Instagram. I can't remember where I was going to. No, my followers blew. This girl must be smart. So I've been saying this since when? And that's what I'm saying about mental clarity. When I got back, it coincided with the period when I came back on Twitter. I took a 1 month break, and then I came back very focused. I'm on Twitter for business. That's my pinned tweet. I'm on Twitter for business. You see the laugh is secondary. Tertiary, I can't be laughing money away. I'm on Twitter for business, and that's how I also found that Twitter has a faster turnaround time in terms of sales than LinkedIn. People would have been studying you on Twitter. Does this one know what they are doing? When they are ready to buy, they send you a DM check, they send you a proposal. Let's have a meeting. That's how Twitter operates. You see LinkedIn, you are the one that will initiate conversation. Twitter, you don't know who's reading. Right? Anyway, so that's how it happened, and it's been really explosive from there. So what's your voice? You can determine what your voice is. You can be a diaper business owner. You can be a donut maker. You can be anything as a small business owner. What voice, what persona do I want my business to present to the public? Right? Very quickly, let me use my diaper business as an example. Now, everybody, if you go on Instagram, many people sell diapers. Many people. You go there, type the hashtag, several people will come up. What's the difference? Why should you buy from A instead of B? For us, when we determine where, and when by the way, as a small business owner, when you start dealing with some level of people, you don't say me. The day you die, because the money they gave you should go. No, it's us. Right? The other part of what I did, by the way, for my business is, you can't be the face of the business and you're the one dragging money with them. You're the one sending reminders for payment. That's a bad voice. Separate it, even if you're the same person behind the email. For example, in my business, there's a job. It's evidence of work. Joy and joy. I'm joy. Because I can't lead a strategy, I can't do a media training for a management team of an organization. And then I see the same person saying, please, so when are we expecting our check? No. You want to belittle my office. Right? So joy takes care of it. Joy is our client services Can you come?
Join you, and you are joined.
We are all of them because the money must be complete. But it can't be the same person. It's very important, especially again as a service business owner. That distinction is critical. Don't think like a retail business owner when you are in services, right? The dynamics of that business is very different. Anyway, so for retail, I'll say the voice. So, what's your value proposition as an SME? Are you selling donuts because everybody is selling donuts? Why should I come and buy from you? For our diaper business, we said was 3 things. Anybody can sell diapers. So what we are really selling is not diaper. What I found was that we're not really selling diapers. What we were selling was professionalism. You see, Nigeria, if you can sell people well, you will make money. We are not used to good service. So when we see it, we are first shocked. You know, it's the person that is paying you that will say thank you. And then we do prompt service, same thing. Right? And then because there's a certain type of woman who can buy that diaper, we started thinking like her. If a Tosi, for example, needed to buy a diaper, she can't be chasing me around to say, oh, so how far? As the diaper left the store, has it done? No. I told Tosi, don't worry. Just once it's finished, just send me a message and continue your work. When you get home, you'll see it. You don't need to interrupt your day. Because these women are busy executives. If I tell you the people that I've sold diapers to, I just laugh. Because they don't know the person behind it. Group CEOs on Instagram. And you're not, because you have their phone numbers and start pestering them. Obviously. There is confidentiality and there is maintaining your lane. That they are your customer does not mean they are your friend. Stay in your lane and mind the business. Right? Yeah. So make sure that you identify the things, the value that you want to give. It's not really the business that you're doing because there are thousands, hundreds of people doing that same business. There must be a reason why they're coming to you. That's the first point of your voice and articulation. Why should you come? Right? And so once you hit that point, that's what you now want to be articulating. It's not to come and buy donuts, come and buy puff. No. In post, even if it's on Instagram, in posting, we offer professional service. Number one, the way you're even saying it, they will first have them say, is it diaper this one is selling? Is it donut this one is selling? You're talking about the nutritional benefits of the junk that you're selling. You're selling donut because it's junk. Right? But then several things you can do. It's a cheat day if you're doing weight loss, it's blah blah blah. But you're talking about more things outside of the physical item that you're selling. And that's what people really buy, not the physical item. How did you treat them? What's the value that you're offering? Right? I mean, I got to a point in my diaper business where they open up, somebody has been waiting for years, they mention it, and then we pray. Or somebody is right there on the delivery bed. Please help me deliver that. I'll pray for them and say, don't worry. Before the baby comes, you'll get it. And then they come out, thank you for praying. In one part of my mind, I wanted you to buy the diaper. I mean, thank God for but I really wanted you to buy them. Right? So you're doing both of them, but you're very conscious of value plus profit. Am I making money? Am I delivering value? Am I making money? Am I delivering value? If your focus is on profit exclusively, your profit is not sustainable. It's going to be a short-term business. It's not something that you can do for a long time because you will be frustrated out. Because once a competitor comes up that can offer that value, they'll go away because why should they stay with you? It's not just money that you're making. Right? Let's move on quickly. So, what's the purpose? That's what I've done here. If you don't speak, people will speak for you. If you don't speak, people will tell you what you should say. I mean, this is very rampant on Twitter. There's a cry. Oh, so 2 things. It's a double-edged sword, right? If you don't speak, people will assume for you. If you speak and you speak too much, it's also a problem. I have this post on my LinkedIn. There was a time last year, one of the tech founders, they are the ones notorious for this thing. Always in a crisis, always oversharing, who sent you money? Come. If I send money, will the person get it? Why are you oversharing? Right? But they're very fond of just talking. So there was this founder on Twitter that just talk everything you have an opinion about. And so I wrote an article which seemed to resonate with a lot of people. What should I do when my CEO talks too much? If you're an SME business owner, it will be you, CEO, that's talking too much. Everywhere we go, MTN, choo. So because they said that one of the growth hacks on Instagram is that you should be commenting on the page of people that have many followers, and so it's you that we are seeing everywhere. Or obviously tells us that you don't understand your audience. That's why you are everywhere. Spending valuable time contributing to conversations you will have absolutely no idea about. What's that you're about? Sorry. I can't remember. But let them not say I'm not there. Whether what you're going to say makes sense or not. Yeah, something like that. Just be talking because they said that's how you can grow your page on Instagram. What I found, by the way, I also tried that growth thing. What I found is, you see this follow for follow, it's fake. You know why? The people that are doing follow for follow cannot buy it. The people that are following you are fellow business owners. Can they buy what you're selling? No. So why am I wasting time doing follow for follow? When I should be dating my children, thinking of strategy, how to set and doing follow. And that follow for follow, 1 hour you're still you are still liking posts on this pod because they said that's what to want. It's a lie. Anyway, I mean, examples abound. Please move on. So how should you share your voice? For me, the first thing really is identifying the platform. All social media platforms are definitely not free, right? I have identified LinkedIn as my primary platform. That's why you find me there more often. On Instagram, I'm just matching statements. I don't do anything serious there. It's just, I take space on that platform so that I don't go and use my, take up my username. I've tried to create a personal website now. My name is taken. Why? What? Yes. Oh, but there's some people who do this URL banking also. They just buy a popular URL so you can buy from them. It's a profit-making venture, apparently. But they've taken it. So before they took all those ones, I quickly took space on those platforms. But LinkedIn is where the money is. For me, so identify where you're doing, what you're doing. Make sure now. So for many SME business owners, again, if you're an Instagram person, these Instagram people, coaches will tell you, oh, when you're running a campaign, make sure that your page is fine, make sure that that's it. Okay. So when it's fine, do you have the relevant information for them to buy? Now I've seen even organizations, proper organizations with proper structures, well set up, they run a campaign or they say, oh, I want to be on TV. It's fine. I want to be in the papers. Fantastic. And then we go to the website. Phone number is not functional. CEO doesn't have profile picture. There's no, maybe there's even no address, or maybe it's the address that they used 3 years ago that they've moved. Your information is not up to date, and then you want to run a visibility campaign, because that's what your press release is. It draws more attention to your business. But then, when people are supposed to take an action after they see this visibility, it doesn't land anywhere. Your website is obsolete, there are errors there. By the way, there's something called gender neutral language now. You want to strike that balance a bit. We're very used to using masculine language in our copies. If you're thinking global now, you want to be neutral. If you've been paying attention, where I would say he or she, I'm saying they. Right? That's neutral. Because I'm not bound for Lagos. And even in Lagos, we have been infiltrated or whatever, we are now more accommodating. So if you want to be a global business, you can be an SME business operating in a small community in Lagos, but with a global outlook. And that global outlook is not by, oh, I've been to the airport, I've traveled out. It's in the language, it's the quality of pictures, it's in how you present your content to people. If you have questions, please start either writing it down or putting it together in your head, and then we'll get to it very quickly. So if you're a business owner again, maybe you're an ushering business, I don't know what type of business. I'm sorry because I came late, don't ask around. What type of business do you have? Fashion designing, fantastic. If somebody wears your clothes, for example, or even you, do you model the clothes? Okay, great. So if you do, now there's not this other ad that they do on Instagram. You have 2 numbers. You write review for yourself by yourself. You put it and say, wow, customer, lovely review from customer. Excuse me. Okay, it's Yoruba that came. It's not like I speak Yoruba, I don't know. But Yoruba that came to my head again. The line that goes for thousands of years. One day we will find out. You that you are saying, oh, lovely dress. In the customer said review, okay. And then customer comes. And then you wrote, when we want slim fitted, you go and sew a bada. What we know, and God will help you find somebody who is vocal and active online. Just spoil your business because they will post that review and just rubbish your business and then they will not be watching. But see testimonial. See what this one is saying. And guess what? You see that your own fake testimonial, you can't put a face. Because there's nobody, you are the one, and so you can't say, but this is the person who said it. This one has a face, we can see their page. Who would you believe? So it's best to always stay on top of things and make sure that you share content on your platforms as well. Let's move on quickly to the last one. The last thing really that you should pay attention to, I mean, we have a case study here about this Sterling Bank thing and how they have done this content for Easter. I mean, you can want to be creative. You see how I said something about being global in outlook? Maybe they didn't know that we are more sensitive in Nigeria now. I mean, maybe 5-7 years ago when Twitter was not that grounded in Nigeria, this would have flown. Nobody would have picked it. But now that it's literally Twitter that is determining what people are responding to in real day, in physical conversations, in one-on-one conversations, offline. You want to be careful, right? That you're sensitive to things that people are saying. You may want to jump on the trend. I mean, who followed this Niger branch issue? And but this Niger branch thing at the beginning of the year, I made 1 billion sales from Facebook advert. She jumped on it. Anyway, I mean, I don't want to interrogate it too much, but there are just a lot of things, and just from that one, we now started seeing testimonials, several people talking about Niger branch. Just because she went to post testimonial that she didn't even have a handle, just because they shared story with you. Amplifier, I have many followers, let me let them blow their business. Verify times 50. Okay? So make sure that in everything that you're saying, make good use of all the platforms that you have access to. Identify at least one major platform and own it. You should be beyond the business because there are multiple ways you can do this your SME business. You can be doing your actual business. You can teach people how to use the platform that you are using for your business because you have mastered it so well. The best way to sell those things and to teach those things is from your experience. Use it so well. It should grow your business so well that you can use your experience to make money and teach other people. Thank you so much. I'm sorry. Questions, comments? I'm not clear. I don't know what that is. The questions? Yes, please.
Is it a great idea to use like blogs and influencers to boost your page and all that? Like for your Instagram business?
To boost the page?
Yes, in terms of traffic.
Well, so again, it depends. If you want to make, if it's for sales, you want to make sales, it also depends on the type of influencer that you choose. Right? Again, many people, they just feel that, oh, this influencer has many followers, let me just engage them. But they may have many followers, but their followers are not really your target market. So it's just a waste. You have many followers, but they are not a buying audience. Is it not better to have 1,000 followers when 900 of them are potential buyers than you have 500,000 followers and only 100 of them can buy from you? What's the value in the number? It's just dopamine. You feel happy that people are following you, but does that translate to money in your pocket? No, so what's the point of all the followers that you have? So again, it depends on your strategy. Why do you want that visibility? Is it because you want to be an influencer so that people can be paying you? Or you actually want to make profit and sell? If it's selling, then you may want to rethink that strategy. So micro influencers are better than the biggest influencers that we have. Okay?